Coming up.
I'm just wondering how much power I have at this point.
Good brands can bring back customers again and again.
I was just taking a drink of water and spat it out there.
Oh my God, she's Nora.
And yet a third way of saying that last line.
I know, calm down, woman.
Not just a hat, but a headscarf too.
She gets more and more excited as she goes along. It's fantastic.
Are you going to open it?
Oh, that was a wonderful episode.
And now, enjoy the podcast.
How do you say that?
How do you say that?
How do you say that?
How do you say that? Hello and welcome to today's episode of How Do You Say That, sponsored by BritishVoiceover.co.uk, the podcast for voiceovers, podcasters and anyone else who reads scripts out loud, proving that there isn't just one way to read a script, but a multitude of different ways. Let me introduce my co-host Sam Boffin. Hello, Sam.
Hello. Hello, Mark.
Today's fun fact about Sam is that she rode a penny farthing bicycle around the Roundhouse in London. That's at Camden, isn't it?
It is in Camden. It's a big space. It's a big gig place now.
It is.
But back in the day, I was in a show called The Petticoat Rebellion, which is all about the suffragettes.
Wow.
And that was my main thing. Is somebody literally balanced me on a penny farthing. Well, a number of people balanced me on a penny farthing and just pushed me off into the Roundhouse, where I rode around the Roundhouse onto the stage and off again using ramps, and it was absolutely terrifying. If you've ever ridden a penny farthing, it was like twice the height of me.
Was it a full-size one?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was terrifying, genuinely. I never fell off it, actually. And
Well done.
all the productions we did, I didn't fall off it. I did in rehearsal quite a lot. But.
Wow.
And so I was just, reliving that moment.
Absolutely.
But what I really need to say is my co-host is Mark Rice, who, in another theatrical fact, played Sweeney Todd in the first out-of-London production of the musical way back in 1987.
I did. I was 17 years old. It was a youth production.
So you're the youngest Sweeney Todd ever?
I think possibly so, but it hadn't really been put on ever since it left the West End. That's the thing.
Right.
It was really weird. But the director loved it so much that he did. But of course, to be Sweeney Todd, you've got to have long, shaggy hair, and the director didn't want any kind of wig or anything. So
Right.
they went to my school and said, can this guy grow his hair for 10 months? And I was at a very strict kind of grammar school. And they went,
Wow.
well, I suppose so. And they let me have really shaggy hair for 10 months of the year. It was fantastic.
That's quite cool.
Well, of course, we also have a special guest who this week is Jacqueline Duff. Hello, Jack.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, really well. It's lovely to have you here.
Nice to be here.
Jacqueline is an English voiceover who regularly records in both RP and Southern Irish accents. And I didn't know that, Jacqueline.
Interesting.
Didn't know you did Southern Irish. That's amazing. So she started her career 20 years ago with a Pan 10 TV ad recording in an Irish accent. And then she became the British voice of Wildfire for Orange, the first mobile phone speech recognition system, making her, I don't know if I want to say this out loud, Siri's grandmother.
I love that.
I'm so old.
Well, since then, she's worked in most genres: commercials, documentaries, audiobooks, games, dubbing, character animation, promos. You love corporate VO, I know you do. Jacqueline has probably recorded thousands of scripts for hundreds of companies worldwide and worked mainly from her studio on the South Coast. Have you got a fun fact you can share with us, Jack?
A fun fact might be I was once a singer and a hand model. Both at the same time.
At the same time?
You sang whilst you hand modelled for one crazy gig.
Not quite, but I kind of, when we all start our careers, we kind of do everything. Singer, dancer, actress, model. It's basically what I was doing. And I was a singer to start with because I needed an equity card to get back into the acting.
Yes.
And those contracts were good at getting you, back into, gaining an equity card. But also at the same time, I was singing at night and I needed a day job. And an advert came up in the paper saying, "Do you have nice hands?" The next week, I was doing a Oil of Ulay advert.
Wow.
Sitting on an orange box, very glamorously, with my hands in the air, stroking some beautiful model's face while she moved it from side to side.
I can't guarantee that you'll be using your hands during this episode, but let's have a look at our first script of the show and ask, how do you say that?
How do you say that?
Now, this is something that I have been working on Well, I say I have been working on. I've been rehearsing it, but I am about to work on this weekend. It's
exciting.
a live script, and it is being done with the Fulham Symphony Orchestra. So I am their narrator for a Roald Dahl, one of his revolting rhymes.
Amazing.
For Snow
brilliant.
White. It's a lovely gig. It's a kids' musical extravaganza.
So with a full
amazing.
orchestra and a full audience, that's going to be
Full
amazing.
orchestra, yeah, and
No
full
pressure.
audience, yeah.
Gosh.
No pressure live then.
No, do you know, at the last rehearsal, I thought to myself, God, I hope I don't lose my place, because you wouldn't know how to get back to it, and then the orchestra would be completely, completely
course,
baffled
yeah.
as
Yes,
to what
you
I was
can't
giving
stop them.
I mean, it's the same as being in a musical, isn't it, Sam? You've got to actually, the precise timings are there.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
you've got to wait for things like, snake noises and percussion instruments and things like that. You've got to let
fantastic.
them punctuate what you're doing and give it a big old production number at the same time. So lots of different silly accents and things.
So tell us about the read a little bit. What direction have you already been given? What can you help us with?
Well, this is a bit of the narration before I get into the poems proper. This kind of sets the scene.
Right.
So the Roald Dahl one starts with Snow White, Once Upon a Time Snow White, and it accepts that you know who Snow White is. But
Of course.
within this musical score, what they did was they did a lot of pre-narration to sort of set the scene.
Yeah.
And this particular little bit is where Snow White's real mother, well, I'm not going to give it away. It'll all come out in the read.
It is a lovely bit of script.
It's remembering with this one that it is for a young audience. So this is very much a children's
Storytelling to children.
Yes.
Well, I shall give it a go then. Let's
Good.
see what I get out of it.
Fantastic.
Right then. One day, a terrible thing happened. Snow White's mother, the Queen, who preferred the outdoor life to libraries, was picking flowers in the royal garden when she was bitten on the bottom by a snake, a poisonous, purple, vicious, villainous viper with sharp teeth, thin lips and a particularly nasty expression on its face. Its bite was, of course, fatal. From then on, Snow White's life was not at all happy. Not at all. And that's where my story really begins.
Lovely.
Nice.
I did imagine a room full of children. I
Yeah.
think that kind of helped.
Yes, it does. And also, in fact, of course, obviously we're not getting it here, but that there's a lot of bits in there that are punctuated by orchestration.
Oh, lovely.
That's the actual bit that leads into the proper poem.
It's a lovely piece of writing. Poisonous,
isn't it?
purple, vicious, villainous, viper. Absolutely. All of that alliteration is lovely.
I want to go.
Except when you trip up. You don't want to trip up. I want to go to this as well, absolutely.
Wow, I can let you know where it is.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, please.
It's in a really big concert hall, actually, a really big kind of venue.
how amazing.
But, yeah,
Oh,
I'm
it's
looking
gonna
forward
be
to
a
it.
real
actually.
treat. Yeah.
I kind of want to hear what Jacqueline does with it.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
definitely, Jacqueline.
So I'm also going to imagine, I've got some young nephews and I'm just imagining talking to them. So I think I might, okay, I'll just do it. One day, a terrible thing happened. Snow White's mother, the Queen, who preferred the outdoor life to libraries, was picking flowers in the royal garden when she was bitten on her bottom by a snake, a poisonous, purple, vicious, villainous viper with sharp teeth, thin lips, and a particularly nasty expression on its face. Its bite was, of course, fatal. From then on, Snow White's life was not at all happy. Not at all. And that's where my story really begins.
Lovely. You made the most of the vicious, villainous viper there beautifully.
Absolutely.
It's written like that, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's sort of-
it is. It's really interesting, actually, that the patterning from both of you is absolutely the patterning I use. So it's clearly written in that way. So, yeah, it's very
Which
interesting.
shows,
to
doesn't it?
listen
If
to.
you've got a decent bit of script,
Yeah.
Oh,
it
yeah.
lends itself
Yeah.
properly, doesn't
yeah.
it?
And we all love decent bits of script.
Yes, we do. We don't get them nearly often enough.
We cherish those little moments.
Absolutely. Yes, scriptwriters, take note. Take note.
So, come on then, Sam.
Yeah, come on then, Sam. Show us how you're going to do it in front of the big live
I was going to
audience.
say, I'm going to step back from the mic a bit.
Yes, I guess the one thing that we weren't doing, this is projected to an audience, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah. It's not an intimate story necessarily. So I'm going to step back and I hope I don't blast this mic out of existence.
One day, a terrible thing happened. Snow White's mother, the Queen, who preferred the outdoor life to libraries, was picking flowers in the royal garden when she was bitten on her bottom by a snake. A poisonous, purple, vicious, villainous viper with sharp teeth, thin lips, and a particularly nasty expression on its face. Its bite was, of course, fatal. From then on, Snow White's life was not at all happy. Not at all. And that's where my story really begins.
I love it. And the interesting thing is, you went into character mode there, whereas I think Jacqueline and I both did it more as narrator style.
We did, I think so.
And we went into our microphones because you stepped back. You created a much bigger, one of those Roald Dahl style kind of evil characters that kind of brought it. And I say evil character because what I noticed was when you went to its bite was, of course, fatal. The joy of the fatality there is so Roald Dahl.
Yeah, that very sort of dark sense of humour that's always hiding in the background.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly good piece to do. It's really fun. It's got lots and lots of different, different characters. There's the magic mirror who talks. There's their king. There's just everybody in it. I just love it. It's great.
Of course, we've talked before on the podcast about how music is intertwined with speech so much, and I guess when you get a project like this, more so than ever.
Yes. Definitely. I mean, for instance, the bit here with picking flowers in the royal garden, when she was bitten on her bottom by a snake, you get these two pieces, percussion pieces, and I have to kind of wait for those to go through. And it's lovely. All of the narrating stuff is underpinned with lots of kind of gorgeous sound effects.
Oh, fantastic.
It's great fun.
It kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the singing, which is, because I really think if you've got a musical background of any kind, it helps with the timing of scripts and you can see the natural rhythm of the story actually as you're reading it for the first time. And, with songs, for instance, it's verse, chorus, ending, but you've always got a middle, beginning and an end for each, story. But I think it also helps with the breathing because
of course,
if you've been down that road, you can't just say something forever. You have to breathe at the right places and the right emphasis comes out with the right breathing in the right places. And it's a very sort of lovely, fluid way of reading a story. And I think it comes from, if you do have that musical background, I think it really helps, actually. I'm presuming you've got one because I can hear it in your read.
Yes, no, I do sing. I don't play any instruments, but I do sing,
Whereas my only instrument is my voice.
Oh, darling.
There you go.
Darling.
Of course.
The most important one.
Yes, possibly so.
It's worthwhile remembering that these are real scripts we've been working on. And actually, I didn't change a beat in that.
Fair enough.
But I know that it may be that we've changed the names and some details in Jacqueline's script to avoid copyright issues.
Oh, Sam, I found something fun that I wanted to tell you about on my Alexa this week.
Right.
Because the podcast is now also on Amazon Music. You can now ask Alexa to play a specific episode of How Do You Say That? So, for instance, if you want to listen to that hilarious episode with Della and Abby Phillips, remember that one?
I do.
You can say, Alexa, play episode 12 of How Do You Say That? Or if you don't know the episode number, say, Alexa, play How Do You Say That with Della and Abby Phillips. It's brilliant.
No, it does both.
Yeah.
So have you spent entire afternoons just listening to yourself?
I'm doing research for the podcast. How could you say such a thing?
Oh, that was a wonderful episode. No.
I was so good.
How do you say that?
Okay, on to script 2, ladies. So, Jacqueline, tell us about the script that you've brought in.
Okay, as you said, I love corporate VO, and I really do, because I think it's so varied. And this happens to be a small portion of an e-learning video, and they were a series of 27 of them, ranging from about a minute.
Gosh, that's a lot.
Yeah, it was quite a lot. It ranges from about a minute to possibly 4 or 5 minutes. They were done in an Irish accent.
You're not going to make us do that, are you?
Well, it's up to you. But I'm just wondering how much power I have at this point. But the reason it's here is because it's a small portion, and it needs to be brought to life.
Yes, I can see it could be quite dry and bland, this.
Yes.
So it's a question of they've asked you to make it come alive off the page.
Yeah.
Yes, that one and the next 26, please.
Yes, quite.
That's the thing.
So, yeah.
And of course, the thing that we know as experienced voice actors is you do one, you check it with them that they are happy. You don't do all 26 and then go back to them and go, you're okay with that, right?
Yeah.
That's where I've been going wrong.
Yeah.
Has anyone here done that once ever in their lives?
I have done that right at the very start of my career. Yes, I did something very, very long, and then the client went back and going, I didn't actually want it that way, and I had to do it all over again.
Yeah, I'm going to admit to it. I did one right at the beginning and just thought it was brilliant. I thought they're going to be so pleased. Oh, no. And then they said, we really wanted it a bit more serious. I went, okay. And lesson learned. Lesson learned.
You never do it again, that's for sure.
No.
That's for
Come
sure.
on, Sam. Have you done it?
I'm sure I have done it. I'm trying to wipe it from my memory. But what I tend to do, because I'm incredibly lazy, I tend to just record. I tend to get in the habit of recording 30 seconds a minute and pinging it through before I do anything, because I have a worry that I will spend hours of my time perfecting something that they don't want.
Do I get the choice to ask you to do things in this one, or
Not this
No,
one.
this is straight. We'll wait for the wild card to suggest
so
different ideas. You're getting ahead of yourself here, Jacqueline.
I know. Calm down.
Don't worry me. No. Okay. To many people, an established brand is something that large companies have evolved over time to sell more of their products. But brands don't exist by accident, and good brands can bring back customers again and again. Here are the 6 key rules of branding. Number 1, define your business. What does it do? Why does it do it? And why is it better than the competition? The answers to these questions should become part of your brand personality. A brand should capture your mission. Number 2, how do you impact people?
And we leave it there because it is a much longer script. That was you did draw me in there very much. As I was beginning to think about my brand as you were talking about it.
When I got to that last line, I hesitated because I didn't know whether to say, number 2, how do you impact people, or how do you impact people?
Or how do you
because
impact
it's got the question
people?
mark, yes.
Yes.
It's nice. It was, it was very personable. So,
absolutely.
and personal.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly interesting little script, actually.
Yes, yes, I kind of want to read the rest of it now.
So, Mark, wow, you're going to do it, babes.
Okay, all right, let's give it a go. To many people, an established brand is something that large companies have evolved over time to sell more of their products. But brands don't exist by accident, and good brands can bring back customers again and again. Here are the 6 key rules of branding. Number 1, define your business. What does it do? Why does it do it? And why is it better than the competition? The answers to these questions should become part of your brand personality. A brand should capture your mission. Number 2, how do you impact people?
You went impact. How do you impact people?
Yeah.
And I think I did people, didn't I? Nice measured tone. Lovely.
Very direct.
I do a fair bit of this kind of thing, and that's kind of the style that I fall into for that. I hope it means that it's interesting enough to lift it off the page.
Yeah.
It did to me.
Absolutely.
Good. And in this case, you're the client, so that's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're both booked.
Yeah. We're quite different, though, Jacqueline. That's what we find fascinating.
Very, yeah.
We both do this sort of stuff, but clearly we're booked for
quite
different reasons.
Ways.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Totally. I think it's incredible that, I also do this, but I do it obviously in 2 accents. So, and one of them
yes, we're going to hear the accent.
Of course, the Irish.
Brilliant.
Well, one of them's one personality and one's another. And I'm slightly scared that I've got lots more accents in my head. So I'm
Do you know where the split is inside?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
yes,
nice.
I do.
That's
funnily enough.
really interesting.
But it is interesting that things just change if you put somebody else behind it, like your lovely characterisation of your script.
Yes, of course.
Was very different. So
Yes.
well, I'm going to have to get into it first. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Wait. Inspiration. So, okay. To many people, an established brand is something that large companies have evolved over time to sell more of their products. But brands don't exist by accident, and good brands can bring back customers again and again. Here are the 6 key rules of branding. Number 1, define your business. What does it do? Why does it do it? And why is it better than the competition? The answers to these questions should become part of your brand personality. A brand should capture your mission. Number 2, how do you impact people?
I'm in love with that voice. That is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you, darling.
That's fantastic. And yet a third way of saying that last line.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, with you.
Funny, I'm almost like I'm on a podcast called How Do You Say That?
It's amazing, isn't it?
When you got it, here are the 6 key rules of branding.
Oh, that was a lovely chuckle under there. I thought that was lovely.
It was a beautiful chuckle. It was
wonderful.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
Well, what they wanted, funnily enough, was actually very personal.
Yeah, that was.
And they wanted, but you always get the instruction, don't you, or the direction of friendly and like a colleague, like your friend sitting next to you. But they really wanted it for this because it's lots of videos that they really want them to listen to, and they want to keep the same listener happy to come back to listen to number 2, 3, 4, 27.
I was going to say, the really interesting bit about that is there are elements in there that when you first read it, you think, oh, they're going to want us to dial that up, i.e. almost putting, marks around it, like brand personality, capture your mission, things like that.
Yeah.
Now, you didn't do any of that. You didn't pick those things out in that kind of rather faux way of doing it. You just let it all kind of be part of what you were saying. I thought that was really interesting. And
you
a really
took friendly
tip.
to the nth degree, because it absolutely was. I mean, when you talked about having a different personality in the different accent, it came through 100%. I saw exactly what you meant immediately.
Yeah.
Great. That's brilliant, because the Irish one is naturally more sing-song.
Yes.
And she is a real person in my head.
Oh, does she have a name?
Do you know, she doesn't, but I'm going to call her Nora.
Nora.
Oh my God, she's Nora.
I'm
wow,
already
there you
loving
go.
Nora.
Hello, Nora. How are you doing? Thank
Do you know what?
very
I think
much.
I might call this episode The Genesis of Nora.
Oh, yes.
The one with the Genesis of Nora. I love that.
Oh, so I've got Nora and Norman in my booth, which is quite nice. I like that.
Now that we have a new personality, here's the moment we love. It's the wild card bit. Let's see if we can approach these scripts in a completely different way.
Yes.
Jacqueline, can you pick one of the scripts for Sam and a way for her to do it differently?
See, I love your script, Sam, 'cause I think it's more interesting.
No, it's not more interesting. They're both very interesting.
But do you know what? Do this one.
The branding.
And
yes.
the branding, because it can be stayed, can't it? I don't know whether I've listened to an episode that's done this already, but how about some farmyard animals?
Goodness me.
I was just taking a drink of water.
A whole cacophony.
Just farmyard. No, or animals, actually. Animal Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom. Gosh, what? On every
like Sam is Old MacDonald on her farm.
No, just pick just be a hen or a pig or a rabbit
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Yes. I see your point. Yes.
I'm
Okay.
really
Right
sorry.
now.
I wish I hadn't said that now.
No. I'm liking it. I'm liking
Brilliant.
Okay.
To many people, an established brand is something that large companies have evolved over time to sell more of their products. But brands don't exist by accident, and good brands can bring back customers again and again. Here are the 6 key rules of branding. Number 1, define your business. What does it do? Why does it do it? And why is it better than the competition? The answers to these questions should become part of your brand personality. A brand should capture your mission. Number 2, how do you impact people?
Oh my goodness! Kudos.
So
that is
good.
phenomenal. I love it. Was right within that first line, the horse personality was
Seriously.
bang. It was just there.
I will never,
Fantastic.
ever be able to listen to that back.
She's like a schoolmistress, though, isn't she?
She is
She's like a very
schoolmistress.
direct schoolmistress who's got this thing to say, and she gets more and more excited as she goes along. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. She had not just a hat, but a headscarf too. I'll be honest.
Yes, I can see
Yes.
that. I can see that.
Exactly.
Oh my. Yes,
my.
just fantastic.
Gorgeous.
Well, I don't know how you follow that, Jacqueline, because it's your go next. Let's.
okay.
I know. I'm going to give you the
I
Snow
wasn't
White
expecting that one.
script, I think.
Okay.
The Snow White script. And
Right.
what personality or what genre can I give you to do it in? I was thinking, very serious documentary, but I think that's a bit dull for this. I think let's go completely outside the box. Right. This is difficult, Jacqueline, but I think you can do it. Let's go bored housewife with this.
Okay.
Not desperate housewife, bored housewife.
Very different.
Very.
Okay. Right. Bored housewife. Okay, give me a second. The washing's on. The kids are coming back. Where the hell has my life gone? One day, a terrible thing happened. Snow White's mother, the Queen, who preferred the outdoor life to libraries, well, she was picking flowers in the royal garden, and... Is that a washing machine? No, another 10 minutes. Well, she was bitten on her bum by a snake. Oh, some poisonous, purple, vicious, villainous viper thing with sharp teeth, thin lips, and, a particularly nasty expression on its face. Put the kettle on. Well, its bite was, of course, fatal. From then on, Snow White's life was not at all happy. Do you know what? I can really identify with that. Bloody Snow White. Anyway, not at all. Flip, it's 3:30. And that's where my story really begins.
Amazing. I mean, the characterisation was superb, yeah.
Not just the characterisation, I saw the room. The room
Yes,
was there.
absolutely. Yes. And suddenly, but halfway through that, the character realised she was reading part of her own life.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That was great.
Amazing.
Oh, good.
done.
I'm glad you heard
Well
that.
done.
Oh,
Well
thanks.
done.
That was mean, but thanks.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Good
Yeah,
fun.
the wild card can be a bit mean. That's
She
true.
who gave me farmyard animals. That was bored housewife. That was mean. And, if you guys want to play along in the privacy of your own booths, we have put both the scripts in the show notes so you can have a try yourselves.
You certainly can. We would love to hear. If you've got any voiceover questions you'd like answers to, you can send your question for future episodes to podcast@britishvoiceover.co.uk.
Yes, you can. And our question this week is, what is your favourite subject header when you're sending an email to a prospective client? I mean, what do you think will really make them open your email?
Oh, it's another horrible
my
marketing question. That
I
is
know.
difficult.
I thought it was good with the branding, though.
Yes. Well, when I'm sending emails to prospects, assuming I've never worked with them and I don't know that it's a cold prospect, I would normally go in the subject header, hello, first name, I wonder if you can help me.
Seriously? Oh, wow. So in the subject header. Okay.
Yeah. Just to try and see if I can pique interest at all for them to actually open the damn thing.
Yes.
Because that's all a subject header is doing, isn't it? Are you going to open it or are you going to ignore it?
That is, yes. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? People take a long time worrying about their subject headers, I think. Mm-hmm. How about you, Jack?
Wow, that's really, really interesting question because honestly, it's something I've never thought about ever.
So it's something you don't do. You don't mark it in that way.
I do, but I don't come up with something which is going to grab them. I just put in what I am, and it's basically English and Irish VO, or something along those lines. Can I help you? And that's as far as it goes. Because normally by then I've researched who I want to kind of find and send an email to. And I know that they're probably looking for VOs.
Yeah.
So I do have a lot of people come back with English and Irish. What do you mean? And of course,
Yes.
then I sort of refer them to both the pages on the website and the samples that I've actually already put in the email.
What do you think, Sam? What do you do?
Well, funny enough, I'm very similar to Jacqueline because I simply put female British voiceover artist Samantha. dash Samantha, because I reckon when they've lost that email, because they will, it'll just go, then they will be searching for that.
But will that be enough for them to open it in the first place?
Well, the point is maybe, because if they need a voiceover, probably, if I'm dragging them in under false pretenses, you know what I mean? So my assumption is that if they open it, if they want a female voiceover artist, they might open it. I usually put my name, as I say, that's why I put my name in it to differentiate it.
Yeah.
Because the assumption is that if they want a voiceover artist, then they're going to be interested in listening to a voiceover artist.
Exactly right.
And then it makes it very easy to search for it later, because they'll almost certainly, well, if they open it and they listen, then unless they're blown away by my amazingness.
Of course they will be.
No, which is highly unlikely. But then they want to find it again.
Also, putting your name down is really clever, actually, because it's personal. It's not just a female British voice artist. You're somebody. You've suddenly become a real person, which is very, very clever.
As an associated question, links or actual clips do you send? Do you send a link to the audio or do you send an actual MP3?
Okay, I send a link to my whichever page. I've got all my genres. The genres that I voice in have different pages.
Clever.
So I send them a link to my website, because that's the goal, isn't it? Get them on your website.
Mine is a link, and then if I think I really would like you to listen to this now, I may put an MP3 at the bottom, but it's always very short.
Trouble is with MP3s, they can get caught in a spam filter much more easily.
They can, and that's why it's that would be a real specific person. I really, really, really wanted to listen to my stuff now. But normally it's a link, because as you say, Sam, you want people to see where you are and how to get hold of you and to keep coming back to you directly that way.
Well, all good ideas, food for thought. Jack, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It has been wonderful to have you. And the fact that we had the genesis of Nora as well. I'm just impressed.
I know. Well, thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a real blast. It's been lovely talking to you. And Nora will be forever associated with you both. That is the mass murderer at the beginning and the Dickensian stunt woman. So yes. So actually we've had 3 births today.
Wow.
What an incredible podcast episode. We will be putting all of today's scripts in the show notes so you can have a read yourself.
Yes, and do send any voiceover questions to us at podcast@britishvoiceover.co.uk.
And yes, please do like and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And do give us a review if you feel like it.
Absolutely.
That would be amazing. I think on Apple Podcasts is the place to leave the reviews.
Please, that would be great. Okay, that's it for this week. Thanks again to Jacqueline. You've been amazing.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you.
We'll be back next week. Do you know how the end bit of this show works, Jacqueline? You've been listening. You know we all say it together.
We do we? Okay.
Yes. We'll be back next week with more scripts and another voiceover guest when we'll be asking,
How do you say that?
How do you say that?